One of the things about being an action figure collector, I'm talking about an adult figure collector as opposed to a kid collecting or playing with toys, is one, that we have very specific targets of characters that we want. But the thing is, when we acquire them, sometimes we hit a breaking point. Is it kind of like the last straw where we're not going to collect anymore? Now, it's not only about acquiring everything, but there's other factors that lead to this, like price increases or character selection sort of going down at retail. As we're paying more and more for figures that are kind of at the tail end of our overall collection, a lot of collectors are starting to question, what is the future of this hobby? With prices going up so high and so many figures getting sort of the new hat treatment, meaning it's a figure you already have, and now you get a slightly different one. Yeah, it's kind of like just different enough to make you mad if you want are completist, as well as all of the constant repaints and repackaging to amortize tooling. Now, this is all tied to the cost of producing toys. I will tell you, years ago, this Power of the Force 2 C-3PO from the Flashback series was actually my breaking point originally. I saw this figure, I was like, my gosh, I already own like 5 C-3POs. Really? They're just putting a little, sand on his shoulder and calling it new? Granted, it shipped along with one of the best tail-end Power of the Force 2 figures, Aunt Beru, so had both of them in my hand. I was like, all right, well, I'm getting Aunt Beru, but I'm not going to get this C-3PO because Aunt Beru is a brand new character, and I already own several C-3POs, and this just isn't that different. I was like, that's it. I'm hanging up my, toy collecting suit, and I'm walking away. Well, obviously that didn't last because, toy collecting is filled with many, many emotions, and a lot of those can be negative when we don't get what we want, and can be very frustrating. As frustrating as we get, we kind of go back to our hobby. So even when a company sort of pisses us off, well, unlike other hobbies, which tend to be about making things or learning things, this hobby, adult toy collecting, is about acquisition. So having a piece that we're missing, well, it can often be frustrating enough to put us over the edge. So why are we into a hobby that makes us so angry? Well, it's because we're addicted. I mean, honestly, I'll say it. We are 100% addicted to these small plastic characters. I started off only collecting Spider-Man's villains, but after I acquired all of the villains that I wanted on my list, I started acquiring other Spider-Man characters that I didn't intend to get, like some of Spider-Man's allies, I guess, if you will. Like that, oh my god, no, not that Aunt May figure, I'm talking about this Aunt May figure. Yes, I can't believe they made a modern Aunt May figure. I guess they had to make up for that horrible monster from my childhood, but the point being is I'm now buying figures that weren't part of my original list. I'm getting characters that I want to add to my collection simply because I finished. So now I'm buying villains that aren't early 90s and characters that aren't, well, just villains. They're sort of supporting cast members or even other superheroes like Daredevil and Sleepwalker. Cloak and Dagger have now been added to my Spider-Man shelf. So, yes, it's like once you kind of collect them all, you start collecting even more. Does this happen to you? I mean, do you have a list of specific figures you want to get, and you just can't break that rope? No matter how much of the toy line, it's sort of like an abusive relationship. I wasn't going to collect Starjammers. I was just going to get the X-Men, but once I had all the X-Men, I was like, well, I guess I might as well start buying Starjammers, and I never thought I'd be buying Binary, the Starjammer form of Carol Danvers, but I did. In fact, speaking of Carol Danvers and the Avengers, I'm not an Avengers collector, yet I own now an entire team of Avengers because they just keep putting out cool toys. And even though they weren't on my list of things to buy, I now have a Avengers versus a Bellrock display in my office. Although Batman, I think, snuck in there too. Maybe Mighty Spector as well. Okay, so Avengers plus some. The point is, I'm buying toys that I originally didn't anticipate buying because this is a very addictive hobby. And no matter how much the same character is put out or how much prices are going up, is our addiction strong enough to counter all of that negativity? And that's the question I throw out for all of you. Are you guys still collecting despite frustration and character selection and price increases? What keeps you going? Have you expanded on what you originally said you would get? Love to know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, thanks for sharing, and I'll see you guys in the next video.